Yesterday I announced out in public on this social public forum of my childhood sexual abuse and some of the challenges and areas that really caused me suffering and debilitation within my life and fragmentation of my sense of self and spirit. And it's hard to describe how I'm feeling now at the moment. Part of me is relieved and part of me is still a little bit raw in the sharing, because there's still elements of vulnerability that still keep coming up for me in conversing this. But I'm making a commitment to myself to keep showing up whenever I face challenges in life, and whether they're traumatic, whether they're just limitations, whether they're fears, I've owed it to myself, and still do owe it to myself, to keep showing up, keep showing up, keep showing up, and especially at times when I don't want to show up and do want to stay in my man cave and kind of remain safe in my little, I guess, shell. And I've had enough of that, because it doesn't allow me to shine brightly in my true essence of self. And I just want to share, because I keep looking back at these videos for myself as part of my growth and transformation, as well as now beginning to share with you in hopes and efforts that you personally get something out of this. And I know, as being a guy, it's really fucking difficult sometimes to show up in complete vulnerability and humility, because there's a lot of stuff that as a guy we carry, and we also carry a lot from others as the warrior or the protector or the father or the lover. And we don't necessarily put ourselves first. So I guess I'm sharing this for the guys out there and the brothers and the soul tribe that I've yet to meet and connect with, which I'm personally calling out for and in great need of. And I feel we all are in great need of having a heart soul tribe. And look, I haven't scripted anything about what I'm sharing here, and I'm just tuning into my feelings and where I'm at and what I really want to share. And one big thing that really still sickens to me, and it's there every day, is the effects and the unnecessary suffering that millions of human beings on this planet are enduring every single day. That they don't need to be, because of the effects of sexual assault, sexual abuse, and all the crap that's carried on and taken on board, and the confusion and complexities and the emotional roller coasters and the mental stabilities and the physical pains and ailments that occur and triggers that continue to rise up, often every day in people's lives, some sporadically, and I just wanted to share, like through my research, and this is here in Australia alone, statistically, and this is according to the Australian Bureau of Statistics. It's 1 in 3 females and 1 in 6 or 7 males under the age of 12 who have been subject to sexual abuse, assault, interference, or trauma of some sort. And that is for those who actually have come out and shared that. And I know for a fact, because of all the stigma, the trauma, the guilt, the shame, the everything associated with what happened, there are still millions and millions of people who haven't shared and may never share. And many people will take this to the grave with them, which is a real saddening thing. I didn't expect this bit to happen. But one thing I really feel for people is that those who are survivors of the trauma and who still endure on a day-to-day basis, who are operating in survival mode, or are operating in scarcity mode, or operating in fear, or who still face challenges and traumas and debilitating effects from the effects of sexual abuse. My heart genuinely goes out to you, because I know what it feels like to go through the grief, the anguish, the despair, the daily fluctuations in the highs and lows, the peaks and troughs, the emotional stabilities, the mental questioning, the questioning of self. And one of the biggest things that it really affects is what I'm, I guess, really showing up for and committed to is the way it affects our relating to one another as human beings and our expression of how we show up to one another. And what... Just give me a breather for a sec. Okay. And I guess the 30 years of constant research and continual everyday practices, and some days are good days and some days are phenomenal and some days are just a real fucking shit, that the amount of work I've done in relation to the effects of what the interference had caused to me and my sense of self and my spirit. And I want to share something, what happened with me, but I also see has happened with so many others as well. And it happens also in relating and relationships, and even intimacy and close connections and sharing hearts with those that matter the most. And the purest essence of myself, my sense of spirit, during the interference and during the time of abuse and assault, had vacated And I did that for self-preservation purposes, and I see that now looking back. And what I mean by that, I checked out whilst the infliction was upon me, my sense of self was under threat, so my natural fight, flight or freeze mechanism kicked in and I fled. I left my body, and I left my body to put up with and endure, because I never had a voice, I never had an opportunity to speak up, I didn't even know how to protect myself. And I've carried a fucking load of bullshit that has not been mine, that I've had to take responsibility for and own in order to reclaim and re-empower myself. And even doing this is continuous in the process of coming back to myself whole and complete, because I'd felt so many parts of myself had shattered and fragmented and been so scattered and never really 100%. And I've had snippets of it and visitations of being grounded and present and complete and whole with myself and universal, and then the universe and source and God and just everything in nature, just feeling one. But that's hasn't been a constant, and I'm coming back to every part of my own truth, every part of my own vulnerabilities, every part of my own fears, every part of my own challenges, every part of my own limitations. And I'm owning it. I'm fucking owning it, as fucking hard as it is, and as sometimes in my body I scramble, and sometimes I want to vacate, and sometimes it's really confrontational, and sometimes in the past it showed up as deep depression, and other times it shows up as immense anxiety in my body. And I know that's not a psychological thing, because many times I feel okay in myself, in my head, but my body has been incongruent with that, and my body shows up all the things that it wants to get up and out, and shows up as intense sensation. And I feel naturally I'm a highly sensitive and receptive person already, and hence why I move out to the country and out in the forest here, and which is coming to an end. I need to move really soon, but I'll stay focused, and I'm looking for a new home. But anyway, coming back to myself, and coming back to why I'm sharing this, and I feel, how can I transmute what has happened to me into something positive, and see the light in the darkness and the shadow that it cast upon me. And I have been one of those people who have given my power away in the past, and it's a practice of reclaiming that personal sense of power. And it's also really looked at keeping me in the wounded child or the angry adolescent, as opposed to really owning and coming from a place of the mature masculine adult, or even the wise one. And when those effects play out, it's challenging to stay really present, and it's a practice, and it's something that I continue to do on a daily basis. And sometimes I slip, and sometimes I'm in a good place. But I just wanted to share, so that anyone who feels similarly or can relate, who wants to open up a thread of discussion, who wants to form something. And I realize my why, and I'm converting my why now into empowerment of myself as part of this healing process as well, and to be able to help and support others through not only my trials, but those elements of tribulation and those wins. And I want to grow together as a community and form a global tribe of heart-centered people and individuals who genuinely crave a thirst for life and living, but are just having some complications, and there are just a few things that are kind of creating a few roadblocks. And I feel when we come together, we can heal together. And in our sharing and transparency and truth and vulnerabilities and struggles and our little wins that we have and our little strategies that we create for ourselves that tend to work, because each of us are uniquely different and we each have things to share with one another. And I'm wanting to bring that together, and this is why I formed, and I did this, I don't even know, it came through probably 4 or so months ago, Love Life United, and I managed to procure the domain, secure it, of lovelifeunited.com, which I was blown away. And so I've got this domain parked here and not knowing what to do with it. And I feel it's coming through right now, and all the clarity is happening in this moment. And I feel if there's a way that we can make, with Love Life United, a collective and a collaboration of us fucking incredible human beings that we are, that we just are, and we know we are, but some of us are just struggling, that we can come together in ways of support, commitment, love, and just showing up as the best version of ourselves as we possibly can, and not having to put on a face or a mask or a facade in order to show up as something that we may not be feeling. And that's okay. And to show up in our humanness with humility, and to help dissolve some of the shit that is unnecessary and doesn't serve purpose in our lives anymore. And I just feel it's time, and I know there are so many others who are being tested at the moment. And look, I don't know, I'm pretty sensitive to my elements and nature, but then I don't know what the fuck universally is going on. But so much is really coming to the forefront. And as it is, some of us may be freaking the fuck out. And if some of you are experiencing intensity, more so than ever before, I'd love to hear from you, and even just share and go, hey, I hear you and I'm feeling it as well. Because often these journeys of coming back into self, even though it is a very alone journey, it feels very lonely. And I feel if we can come together as the collective and that community in love and support of one another, it helps. It helps to remain committed. It helps to remain stepping up and being courageous and doing the work. Because we're all doing it, and it's not alone. And there are times when I know, and I felt them in the past as well, and it's been scary when things have been touch and go. And then crazy thoughts happened that I don't like to admit, but I am, and I'm getting it out. that I feel are completely unnecessary, and this is why I feel I need to get this out in order for brothers, sisters, fathers, mothers, daughters, cousins, sons especially. I've got 2 incredible boys and an incredible daughter. And showing by example when enough's enough, and when it's time to ask for help, and when it's time to go and get help, and when it's time to be human, and when it's time to be raw, or when it's time to be emotional. And that to be completely okay. And I've tried in the past, and I did it about 6 months ago, a calling to brothers as well to come together as men's gatherings. And I know that's a big thing for guys to fucking show up. and I've tried a number of times, and you know, the timing's the timing, and it wasn't ready when it wasn't ready, and I guess it is what it is, and I'm not attached to that. But I'm also seeing there is a lot of segregation, and a lot of women are magnificently rising together, and they're forming their women's camaraderie and sister circles, and there are more men's circles gathering. But and what I'm calling for and bringing together is this platform for us, as however we identify, regardless if it's polar masculine, polar feminine. It's not about the sexes, it's more about the human spirit, to come together in sharing the complexities, and sharing, and that we can learn and hear and be seen and felt by one another. And I've held spaces like this before at festivals, and I've had an excess of 150 people come at a time, and they've been the most profound healing experiences and profound connection to one another, and feeling so inspired by each other's stories. And I want more of that, and I'm calling that in more so, and I want to be able to do this in a live forum, and do this on a platform not too dissimilar to this, or via a webinar, and do it on a regular occasion. And I guess I'm proposing something for a fortnight, or every fortnight. It might be required weekly as a come to, or it might be required as little as once a month. I don't know. This is where I'm putting it out to you and asking and going, okay, what is it that you need, and what is it that your heart's calling for, and what is it your spirit's desiring, and what is it that you've had enough of, and what is it that you want to love about life and get back to in living, and what is it you want to let go of and finally part with. And for us to come together in sharing. And even in the sharing, there is a tremendous amount of dissolvement. And I'm even feeling now, from what I was feeling moments ago, even in the relief that's occurring in this sharing. And I'm just like, and there's movement, because I'm carrying so much, and the unnecessary weight and baggage. What for? What for? It's debilitating. When there's freedom of choice, and there's a choice that we can make. And sometimes when we're so caught up in something, we feel like there is no choice. And I'm sharing with you 100%, there fucking is. You choose to carry it and maintain living in that frequency and that vibration, or you choose to say, hey, no, enough's enough. I choose to let go of this. I choose to heal from this. I choose to rise from this. I choose to raise my vibration. I choose to raise my frequency. I choose to live through love, and I choose to live in love with life, in love with self, in love with one another. And that's not easy. And that may be a restoration process that comes in little bites and little gems and little moments in life for some of us that we see that just remind us, that keeps us in the game, that keeps us coming back, that keeps us soldiering on, that keeps us going and growing. And I want more of that. I don't know what else to share. I'm putting this out there to hear from you. However you're hearing this, please find a way to get in contact with me direct. If this is on the social media, message me, look me up. If this is, I'm going to try, and I'm terrible at emails, and I'm terrible at the back-end web stuff, and I know I have this massive vision of creating this educational platform, this central repository of content from some of the most incredible worldly facilitators and educators and healers and science, and I want to bring that into Love Life education so that we have a resource around the areas of love, intimacy, sex, relating, matters of life that nourish our hearts, that nourish our soul, that raise our spirits, that makes us all unified. So some of you may have not even watched this till the very end, because I've been waffling on now for, oh my goodness, 26 minutes, and I had no idea. And some of you have remained here till the very end, and I am so grateful for you to hear me, see me, feel me, witness me. And I don't know where to from here. I'm putting it out there, and I'm calling for collaboration, and I'm calling for those who want to rise together and those who want to genuinely celebrate life, but are also really realizing there's work to be done, and are prepared and are committed to themselves and are committed to a cause. And my cause is, and it's been ringing true for me for years, and I just haven't had the courage to step into this arena fully, especially being a male in this space, because often a lot of the perpetration has been inflicted by a man, and there's a lot of healing to be done between the masculine and feminine as well. And so I've had all these fears and resistance in doing so, of rising up, to be shut down or to be torn down or to be questioned or to be, and I'm thinking, well, fuck it, you know what? I've got to give this a try. I've at least got to try, because if I don't, I won't be able to live with myself. And I look, if I'm on my deathbed, what is it I don't regret for not even trying? It's this. It's to help ourselves, this generation, the up and coming generations. It's putting an end to sexual abuse, period. And the vision is, via education and awareness, to put an end to sexual abuse within 4 generations or sooner if we can. And it's something I realise on a planetary level, if I at least get this out to 51% of the masses, then the scales have tipped. And then that's where greater momentum happens. I don't have all the answers, and each one of us are magnificent gems and little pieces of this puzzle, and if we can bring them together with the most purest form of self and intention and heart and devotion to humanity, then I feel we can achieve something fucking incredible. And it would be amazing to see so many lives lighten up and come back to shining, including my own. And it makes a difference. And I care, because I care for my children. I care for the world, I care for the next generations, and I care for the frequency that we operate in on this planet. And I just want to share the love and share in love. Thank you. I'm reaching out. This is my calling. If you hear the calling, connect. Message me direct. Call me. Find me.